all other things other than the fire hall to get that done. And then we can go to the fire hall and focus on that, just so we can work efficiently. Mr. Lackey, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, not a big thing, but I noticed back in Parks and Land Improvements, we're doing some surfacing, fencing and benching for Ball Diamond. I don't know how bad the fencing is, but is there an opportunity to do some fencing for a dog park to save our Ball Diamonds? Because primarily that's what they're being used for, our dog parks and the ball players and people who rent them. I hear nothing but they're full of dog feces all the time. So I don't know if that fencing can be moved, put off for a year and build a bit of a dog park, or you can add it, or it was just an observation.
With dog parks, through your worship, with dog parks, it's more than just putting fencing. If you are creating a formal dog park, there are areas where that you have to maintain the surface. It has to be different than just grass, where they're able to, use the washroom, so to speak. So if that is at the will of council, then we could certainly explore that. But the intent for the money for the ballparks was to resurface the Ball Diamonds themselves. Some of the benches, they need to be replace some of the seating, and then some of the fields as well too. So the fencing, the surface, and the seating, basically.
So would it be safe to say that if there is a will or desire from council to bring forward something in regards to making a dog park anywhere within the municipality, it needs to come through a notice of motion? I'm assuming that is correct. Okay, because I think based on the conversation you've just had, it's more than just putting up the fence. It's considering liability and bylaw, whatever.
That's correct.
Okay, so Jeff, that can be on your to-do list, if you wish. Other items on the capital projects. Go ahead, Councillor Brody.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I have 3 questions here to our Director of Operations. The security cameras we've been replacing and buying the last few years, coupled up with the new bylaws, has there been any charges laid for anything?
I don't think there was charges, but there was somebody caught doing something.
Through your worship, thank you. No charges at all in the time that I've been here yet. We're getting closer. Plenty of.
There was an incident where police were able to speak to some youths about behavior.
And the youth's family, the parents.
Yeah, and
So some healthy conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. My hope was that with all this expenditure, not on the bylaw side, but on the security side, that we'd be at that stage where, if and when need be, charges could be laid to, basically put our foot down as to what is acceptable and what wouldn't be. Second question, Escott Hall is showing electrical wiring. Is that for EV charging? It just says charging.
Go ahead.
Through your worship, the electrical wiring for Escott Hall would be the replacement of the actual electrical. There's the electrical panel that needs to be updated, and then some of the wiring is not suitable as well.
Okay. Last question, the 2012 tandem plow truck. What age is the majority of that fleet, as they all look like carbon copies? They're all Western Stars for the most part. Are they different ages, I would hope?
Yes, through your worship. All of the fleet has a equipment replacement life cycle of 10 years currently.
Right.
When I came here, it was 6 years. So we have pushed them out. The oldest one that we have in the fleet is 2012. And then every year it seems that the tandems had been replaced after that. So it was one tandem per year.
Right.
So I believe their oldest one after that is a 2015 and newer.
Okay, thank you.
Just so everybody's clear, I signed off on the report today. The cost associated with replacing a tandem was $478,000. Go ahead.
And if I can just add one thing, the 2012 tandem that is in the budget has already been acquired. This is the tandem that the council approved back in April of 2023. So this is just the accounting for that tandem that we've already acquired. We're not looking for another tandem at this point.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, a follow-up question leads to an obvious question. The 2000, the replacement you're signed off on was for the truck we just received, right? And it fully came in loaded with plows and everything. Is that the intention for every truck that we order from here on in to replace the plows as well, or previous older plows interchangeable?
I don't think we would want to try to keep the plows when we are done with them.
I wonder.
The plows that we currently have or historically have to be rebuilt every 3 years. So by the time we get to the end of the 10-year cycle, they've seen their share of hard heads and curbs and all those types of things when we're done with them.
So another obvious question, they would end up at a recycling facility with the price of scrap?
Actually, through our what's the name of the
Gov.com.
yes, through our sale of surplus asset, the surplus asset policy, we list all of our surplus assets on Gov Deals, and they're acquired at that point. We sell them as a tandem.
So they're a better price than scrap, I gather.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Further comments or questions about other capital items? I had two. So I'll put the fire chief on the hot seat. So there was $100,000 for the clean room. So I understand the need for it. I understand why we would do that. I'll be quite honest, $100,000 seems low to me for the creation of that room. And what is it, Station 1 that it's going to be at? Just to be clear. Okay. So if we're retrofitting something as part of this, knowing what it's cost to do even just the work in here, $100,000. So I'm just wondering where you got the $100,000 value from.
Through your worship, we had done a little bit of investigating based on the size of what we had, and talking with the director of operations. We knew there needed to be a little bit of possible work done as far as engineering. So we had come up with 100 on that, just based on the size of it.
Okay, and my second question is in regards to the boat. So one of the things that I do know about boats can age quite significantly. And I don't know if the province, like on the pumper trucks, for example, we have to every 20 years replace them. And while I appreciate the need for water rescue and water response, the boat that we have, if it's functional, knowing what we're facing for other costs associated with Station 2, is it possible to continue to push that? I realize it's in the asset management plan, but I don't know how often it's been used, if it's wore right out, if it's been rotated. Maybe a little more background on that, please.
Through your worship, yes, that it's actually in the backlog. We've pushed it a couple of times just because of that, and it doesn't get used a ton. But on one of the responses, we lost the console actually laid right down in the center of the boat, en route to a call. So yeah, we can certainly keep putting Band-Aids on it to make it better, but that's where we're at with that. As you know, from boating, they take an awful abusing on the water. And when you're using them for non-intended purposes like firefighting in a bass boat, it certainly wears on that upright harness that holds the lights and the utensils up above.
So then going forward from that comment, is $150,000 enough to actually purchase like a Stanley? I'm assuming that's what you would need as more of a work boat, something that is a bit more robust in how it's built.
Yes, through your worship, last year, when I was pricing out, back when building and planning, we were working on looking at how we could exchange some boat work there. It was at 100 at that point. So we've increased it to cover that. But yes, a Stanley boat, not necessarily the same as what Marine 5 would be, but a smaller version with a drop-down ramp would be what we'd be kind of looking at.
Okay. Okay, any other comments or questions in regards to? Okay, So it is 25 after 2. If you want to take a break now, or we can get into you want to take a break? Sorry. Okay. So we'll take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the fire station 2.